Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including heat.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including. Got me on Navex and bought me some Joe. Farming go crazy, you know how it goes. Zoopy on Phantom, I got a few notes. Sticking my Rex, you know I'm gon' hold. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buying my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buying my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including heat.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including heat.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including heat.
Woo! All right. Happy Friday to everybody out there in the crypto space. Thank you for being here today. We got a Crypto Talk live stream number 8 today, the official episode number 8. And we're going to be talking about what is UFO on Pulsechain. All right, we're going to cover a lot of things. I'm about to bring a special guest on board, one of the founders, so we can talk about UFO, pTGC, what's going on in this ecosystem. There's a lot of hype. And if you're looking at the UFO chart right now, I know a lot of you guys have been watching me. You know, anytime we see, bullish charts like this, we get hyped. We get excited, and we always make sure we hit them with the good old Jerome dance. Let's get it. I think you're rolling in hell. Watch your mouth without a doubt. Jumping on the ground. That was me this morning, and every morning being in this investment when I'm making my coffee early with the wife. So let's go ahead and bring on our good friend and founder of the one of the founders from pTGC and UFO on the Pulsechain network. Welcome. I have the grade 369. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for being here. I hope everything is doing well, my friend. How are you feeling today?
Good. How you doing? I appreciate you inviting me on. I'm super excited to talk and answer any questions that anyone has on UFO and just get into it. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know it was short notice. You hopped on. True dedication to the space as far as what we see happening on the charts, which we've watched pTGC, which we talked about last time on our X space. We went over the mechanics and the tokenomics of that. During that time, UFO was barely new. I had barely got a little bit of it, not enough like I did recently. And I started providing LP. So let's kind of get into that. pTGC has been around you've had your 1-year anniversary recently, right?
Yeah, we've been out for probably a year and a month now. I forget the exact date, but roughly a year and a month. And obviously it's been going as planned, been going good. The idea of it, when I first brought it to Pulsechain, I think a lot of people thought I was crazy when I kind of told everyone I've pretty much figured out a way to mathematically create a chart that goes up and to the right over time. Obviously, there's going to be pumps and dips. This is anything as users come in and make profits. Some will take profits and sell. There's nothing we can do about that. But mechanically and mathematically, we can put things in play to help it go in the direction of up and to the right, like we're all hoping. So it's just super exciting, to hit that 1-year anniversary, because we've been able to watch the system operate for more than a year now. And by studying the past, we can actually gather more knowledge for the future. And with pTGC, there was no past. We had nothing to really look at. I don't know of anything else in crypto that's built like this system. So it wasn't like I could solely look at another project and mimic it. There's parts obviously pulled from other projects. When the design of both these, I studied hundreds of projects and took what I thought was good from them and added to it, took out what I thought was bad and put that to the side. But it was uncharted territory. So now that we're kind of past the uncharted territory part of it, I'm just beyond excited to see how this performs as Pulsechain grows and gets adoption as well.
You know, last time we spoke and we did this and we just strictly talked, you know, pTGC, the ratio was like a 1 to 2 at the time. And you're hyped about it. I was hyped about it. I've been in since, you know, early on, practically day one. And now we're sitting here at a, what is it, what's the ratio? 1 to 4.48. So you've gone the distance. And I like how you mentioned, like, you had nothing really to base things off of as far as, you know, you've never seen anything like this. So is UFO something that you designed, seeing that the mechanics work so well with pTGC? And is that what inspired it? Or what was the birth of UFO, and kind of get into how that came out?
Yeah, 100%. So after we had a little bit of time to study pTGC, kind of running on the system and seeing how it actually generates value on its own, which I don't really know of anything out there that actually does that. I'd say one of the closest things is Pulsex itself, because it takes the transactional value of the DEX and then brings that back to a buy and burn. And the buy and burn technically is a price increase. It's a buyer that's never going to sell. So that's one of the closest items I know of in existence to this system. But with the microcap token, when you kind of take that idea and put it on a microcap token, it kind of works in overdrive at these lower levels and really buys up and burns a ton of supply. The APY is great at these lower levels. Like you were saying, if you're a day one guy of pTGC, I'm sure you remember the quantity of reflections and rewards of pTGC we're receiving in those first months. It was because the token price was so low, we were receiving such high quantities of the token in the APY, and you know, all those rewards and reflections have now like 100x'd as well. So, but yeah, we noticed that the idea that we felt certain was going to work, but again, it was uncharted territory. So we're like, hey, mathematically, we believe this is what's going to happen. We're kind of just going for it. And then it worked so well that we kind of asked ourselves the question, like, well, what can we do to make this machine run even better? The web is working at such a high level. How can we increase that? And that's when I came up with the idea to build a whole farm on top of the system, to where it's not only the protocol providing all the LP, but also giving the users the ability to participate in the web as well, making it so the web increases and helps the protocol. But while the user is helping increase the protocol's web, they are actually helping themselves at the same time. So when they provide LP, they're taking advantage of an incentive. It drips PLS into a claimable spot for you to claim into your wallet. So you're earning PLS out of the farm, but you're also increasing the value of the UFO token itself in two ways. One, because now all that value is working for you, like, because the web does buy and burns. It takes the market maker activity and then does buy and burns of both pTGC and UFO, but also it's adding LP. So the more LP you have with UFO is the actual real value. You know, you could do hundreds of X's, but if you don't have enough LP to back those hundreds of X's, there's usually only one user that gets to take advantage of that. So what we're trying to do is a situation where once we do hundreds of X's, possibly thousands of X's, we want there to actually be enough liquidity there to back the entire system so it's sustainable. And it seems to be working really, really well.
I like that. And like, from what I understand, like, you guys have respected all of like the principles of RH. Like, he hates you know, middlemen, he hates admin keys. You know, everything seems to be like with Hex, like just immutable things that can't be changed. So that's the same structure with UFO, like no admin keys, immutable smart contract. Can you kind of jump into that because everyone in DeFi, questions these things and they look for it. How does UFO operate? Then we'll get into the LP because I have that up here on a public wallet that I want to show people.
Yeah, it's all fully done code. It can't even be adjusted at this time. We can't even add and take away farms from the system. So everything that's there is what's there forever. One very, very unique thing about our farm that was a huge milestone for me and a big accomplishment for our team is we found a way for this farm, and I don't know of another farm that operates this way, that you actually keep complete self-custody of your PLP tokens when utilizing our farm. So with a lot of other farms, you give up custody of your PLP tokens to earn the additional rewards. And I think that's fine in systems like that are very, very proven and well audited, and our system is audited. But for me, I don't want the responsibility of other people's tokens sitting in a smart contract somewhere. I want them to have self-custody. So I believe we created one of the only farms to where every user that participates in the farm actually keeps self-custody of their PLP tokens, just like if they are providing LP on Pulsechain. And that was like a huge accomplishment for our ecosystem, because I'm sure pTGC also has self-custody when staking as well. Yes. And that's kind of one of the things I love about pTGC is not everyone's funds are just stuck in a smart contract somewhere just waiting to be hacked.
Yes.
It's all just in their wallets. And I wanted to keep that same theme or idea, because this is a huge teaching from RH, right? Like RH preaches this, and we try to always include his teachings in our products because we're students of his. Like every bit of knowledge I have in this system has actually been given to me by studying RH's actions and videos for the last 4 years. So this was a huge thing that at first we were told was not possible, but we kept working towards it and said this isn't a maybe not idea. It was a UFO is not going to be launched without self-custody of LP providing. And we ended up figuring out a way, and I'm beyond stoked to have a product that always aligns with the fundamental values of RH.
Yeah, you know what? The fact, because I come from the hex world, right? And like you said, we learned everything from RH. You've implemented that because trustless yield has been a big thing since I got involved with hex, right? You have self-custody, you control everything. It's your keys, right? Not your keys, not your crypto. So in farms, you typically give your money and users' money goes into a smart contract. So with pTGC, I was like, oh, whoa, they set this up through staking just like Hex. It's trustless yield. It's not like I'm giving you my crypto to go into your smart contract and it's vulnerable to hacks or anything like that. Nothing along the lines of that. So I hadn't seen anything like that in crypto, even mimic RH. So when I saw that, that was an easy way to bootstrap me as a user. And I feel like everybody that's in Hex still wants to participate in this. And then to mention what you showed, because I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yeah,
I'm looking at my public wallet that I share on YouTube quite a bit, where I just recently went into UFO, right, through your website. So the reason why I went through the website is because I realized that the tax had let me know that I would bypass the taxes as far as like the 6% for for the reflections and all that, how they're distributed, by going through your website opposed to just going straight to Pulsechain. So at first I was like, man, like I'm giving up to you guys, like to a smart contract. And then I realized I went on Pulsechain, and I'll bring it up here. It doesn't operate that way. My stuff is on Pulsechain, my LPs. It's trustless. It's basically I don't know how you guys did it, but just so people will know, it's not like I gave up my LP pairs and now it's in your smart contract. It's literally through Pulsechain. You were able to bypass through the taxes, and now all I have to do is come on the website and claim my Pulse, because I earn Pulse through these. So I don't know the mechanics behind that, but that's interesting how you guys were able to do that, because that is the only way DeFi should operate at its best in the safest way. So I appreciate you for doing that. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty much the big accomplishment we had, is our farm is completely built on top of PulseX. I do want to point out to your thing is, yeah, when you go through our dApp, that smart contract waives the fee on transaction that is built into all our code. So that's why when you go into an RH ticker, you don't have that. But the other important thing is you need to go through our smart contract on our dApp to actually be in the farm. So if you just provide LP on PulseX, you're going to get hit with the fee, and you're not going to be earning PLS for farming. And I don't know if you realize that also.
Yeah,
but, okay.
yeah. This is what I want people to know. Is I went through your site, right? And at first I was just like, oh, I guess I'll go in, but I realized after I'm not. It's built on Pulse, right? So for anyone that's looking, you would go to the grayscurrency.com, click on the UFO tab, and then you just click UFO liquidity pools, and then it's all here. You can add. That's what I did, and that's the way to go to bypass the taxes and go into this, right?
100%. Yeah. And then all that is doing is that's just a smart contract that's interacting with the PulseX smart contract. And like you said, you can hop onto PulseX at any time and see all of your PLP tokens sitting there in your wallet.
Yep, I'm looking at that right now. So I see that's you can see everything on chain, but people want to see the UI and all that. The UI makes more sense to people than showing everything on blockchain, but it's there. But you can come on PulseX and I see my pairs. And instead of just coming here and providing liquidity direct, I went through your dApp, got the bypass on the taxes, and now I'm earning yield on it. So I've been doing this for a few days now. I've already collected like 300,000 Pulse, and I got 30,000 Pulse just sitting there. Somebody asked me this yesterday, and I didn't know how to answer the question, so I just said I'll ask on stream. They said, well, what kind of APR am I getting? And I guess there's the discussion between, is it more lucrative to provide LP and earn Pulse, or would somebody be, and I think I lost you. We'll wait till he comes back, but I did lose him. My question is going to be, when he comes back on, is if it's more lucrative, meaning more profitable, to provide LP or to hold UFO token and earn the reflection. So we'll give him a minute to come back on board. Anybody that's just coming in or still watching, we're looking at the screen here where I provided, and he's back. Perfect. All right, lost you for a second. You there?
Yeah, my bad. I got a call and it for some reason booted me out.
So the question I was asking you that people wanted to know is versus holding just UFO token and getting the reflections, which one would be more profitable, providing LP, earning Pulse, or sitting there with reflections with like the same amount? And they wanted to know, like, what are the APRs? Because I don't see an APR, but I'm assuming it's just based off of the volume, right? And how much.
Yeah, that's what makes it very difficult to give people an APR, is every day is really, really different. So it's all based on volume. So some days, like today, for an example, I think we've had like $400,000 of volume, but on other days it could be $100,000 of volume. So that would be 4 times the amount on another day. Or, in a month from now, we could be at $800,000 of volume. So the APR is so dependent on the amount of volume we have. So it kind of depends a lot on where we go as a project and where our volume goes as a project as well. Right now, I think yesterday it was probably around 10 to 15%. But then, on a lower day, it could be around 4%, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying. So I think the way I look at this is it's a win, especially like every time you have a pump, you know, there's going to be corrections. People will sell at different floors. But when you have a pump and then you have the sell pressure come back and then you have it, you know, correct and go up and down, you're earning when it goes up and down. You're earning a lot when it's going up. You're earning a lot when it's going down because it's based off of all the trading volume. So I definitely like that on top of it being trustless and all that good stuff. But before like Pulsechain started becoming bullish, what I wanted people to understand too is like the system it's just like pTGC as well, where it doesn't depend on human volume. It's nice when you got human volume traders, people swing trading, doing all that. But there was things going on in the background as far as like trading bots, right? Where it just pTGC is just it has what it does what it does through the system. Am I right?
Yeah, it's pretty much mathematically built out the same way or mechanically built out the same way. It operates off of having a bunch of different liquidity pairs with different assets or different tokens on Pulsechain. And as those tokens fluctuate up or down, they create thresholds between the price of UFO in each pool. And when those thresholds get hit, a market maker will then come and fix those pools and even them back out. Obviously, the market maker making its own buck or, you know, own value on that transaction. This happens on every pair across every blockchain. This is a complete industry inside the crypto world. We just found a way to flip that script and make it to where we're making value off of that system that's been here for many, many years. And when this happens, that value actually gets given to our ecosystem in buy and burns, into APY for holders, etc. So the bigger we can make this LP web, the more value these arbitrage bots have to move, making it so they have to pay higher APY or buy and burn bigger dollar amounts of UFO and pTGC. And that's kind of what we're seeing here is as Pulsechain goes up, our LP pools will multiply in the same fashion, which then makes it to where now the amount of money that these arbitrage bots will have to move increases as well. And that part of the system actually hasn't even kicked on yet. Like right now, UFO has 15 mil or so in LP. But if Pulsechain just 10x's, that would be $150 million in LP. You can look at the biggest tokens on Ethereum, and they don't have LP like that. And even if they did have LP like that, that LP wouldn't be working for them. So that's what's so unique about this system is all the value that's in the system is actually working for the system. So it's the difference is, let's say you had $5 million and you're like, oh, I made $5 million. Am I going to stuff this $5 million under my mattress and let it just sit there? Or am I going to put this $5 million to work for me? Because if you can make value work for you, you now don't need to work for value. Your value's working for you, and now you're financially free. So we take that same script as we make it to where every cent that's actually in the system, since we spread it out across these LP pools, it creates a system where all that value is constantly working for the users of the system forever, every day, while you sleep, when you're eating breakfast, Saturday and Sunday, when you're hanging with your family, it doesn't matter. It's value working for the users of the protocol.
Gosh, the system's really like for somebody like me who, you know, I like to do interviews and can get a little bit like, you know, in there and ask the tough questions. It's really hard to critique because it hits a lot of the checkbox, checks off a lot of the boxes for me that I look for in true DeFi. Because I don't want to have to depend on a founder. I don't want to have to depend on keys. I don't want to have to depend on, what you're doing. Everything seems to be operating trustlessly, on a trustless basis, without the need of human reaction from the user and the founders. But let me see if I understand things right. pTGC, as I look at it, is a leverage on Pulse. Am I right there? Right or wrong?
Yeah, that's correct. To an extent.
Okay.
What happened in the last, so like when Pulsechain went up a 4x, we went up 40x. And
Jeez.
this is due to, this happened in like January, right? This is like almost a year
Yes.
ago now. But
Yeah, I
Pulsechain went
saw.
up 4x, we went up 40x. And it's due to this theory that I kind of claimed the name for. It's called the X multiplier. We can go into that in a second. RH recently came out with a tweet also talking about this same theory and showing how he's going to use this theory, or he didn't say I'm going to use this theory, but he used this theory to show an example on how easy it is to pump hex using the exact same mechanics that I've been preaching for a while that we've built into pTGC and UFO. He's, in my opinion, planning to pump hex the same way, which is awesome. It just shows that we're like in line with this guy completely. But what's interesting is with a leverage play on a system, when it goes up, you're supposed to go up more, but when it goes down, you're supposed to go down more, right?
Mhm.
This is how
Yes.
leverage plays work. We actually found we went up more when Pulse went up, but when Pulse went down, we actually didn't go down more than Pulse. We actually held ourselves actually more up at points than Pulse itself. And you can go to the pTGC chart versus Pulse and actually see this happening if you want.
Yeah, I've been watching this in real time for a while now, and looking at the ratio, and it's crazy. You're right about that, and so I guess in a way I'm right to what I'm thinking, but it didn't go down a lot like it should have, based off that theory being a leverage. So what do you call that? It looks like a
It's the
leverage, but
X. Yeah, it's we're utilizing pretty much how ratios of LP works. A lot of people like look at these systems, but they don't really understand how they work.
Mhm.
So I call it the X multiplier. Any X that Pulsechain does, we get. So if Pulsechain goes up 10x, we technically will get all those X's. Because if one, let's for an example say, one pTGC is one pulse, and pulse goes from 1 cent to 10 cents. Well,
Mhm.
automatically, pTGC goes from 1 cent to 10 cents because one pTGC is one pulse. This is completely how LP pools work. They do fluctuate because we have many LP pools and obviously there's traders. So a lot of people actually don't get to see this happening. But this is how they, in simplest form, work. When you have a sustainable system, when pulse goes up, it gets tugged up with it. Non-sustainable systems, when pulse goes up, that other token goes up, and users think, oh, I'm up right now because their dollar value's up more. So then they sell back into pulse, actually not giving themselves any more pulse because pulse is up also. And then that's what
Yes.
makes non-sustainable tokens never outperform the blockchain because they were never better than the blockchain. It was just users thought they were up in dollar value, but they would have been better off just holding Pulse the whole time. It just made them feel better about that exit, which then creates a system. But going back to it, since our system actually has sustainability and longevity, when Pulse goes up, users don't actually then just go run the Pulse. They're like, ooh, we're up too. And we actually have mechanics that make us outperform Pulse. And this is called the X multiplier. So if
Mhm.
Pulsechain does a 10x and we can do a 10x against Pulsechain, you now are able to multiply those two together, making 100x.
That's amazing. You know why? Because I got completely conned into a token. I don't know if you remember back. I forget how many years ago, where their bread and butter on their pitch was we're a leverage on Ethereum. And the token it was a guy who went rogue on RH back in the day. If you remember Peter Wise, he came out with a Wise token and he said, hey, Ethereum goes up, we're going up too, baby. And everyone's like, oh, we're on the verge of a bull market and all that. And didn't happen. It didn't happen. Matter of fact, it performed nothing in comparison to Ethereum. And I watched it happen in real time. It was a big lesson. And now I'm seeing it in real time in other areas as well. Now going to UFO, right? I'm looking at UFO, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, as maybe my choice of words before you just explained this would have been a leverage on the ecosystem. as a whole, like the core RH tokens like Hex, PulseX, and Pulse. So is UFO an X multiplier of the Richard Hart core tokens?
Yeah, it operates the same way. So UFO will get tugged anywhere Pulse goes. But the interesting fact behind both pTGC and UFO is since we're not only paired with the blockchain, we're also paired with the other RH tickers and other blue chips on chain. You can actually get the X multiplier on multiple levels. So for an example, if RH uses his own X multiplier, for an example, if money flows into Pulse and Pulse does a 10X, but let's say a portion of that value trickles down to Hex. And now let's say Hex does another 4X on top of Pulsechain. Well, now Hex just did a 40X, 40, because he just used the X multiplier idea. He calls it reflexivity. He used it to pump his own token because Hex got the X's of Pulsechain and its own individual X's due to how liquidity pools work. Well, now, since we aren't only paired with PLS, we're paired with Hex, we're paired with PLSX. We get the 10X from Pulsechain, and then we get the 40X from Hex. And if, let's say, those liquidity pools were even, we would get the mean, the average of those two. So we would be ending up with, whatever that middle ground is of those two. I think it's like 25 or something like that, a 25X. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now we alone are outperforming the blockchain with actually no increased price or buys on our chart. So now any buy on our chart is not multiplied only by the 10X, but it's multiplied by the 25X. So if we do another 4X against that, that puts us at 100X. And that's what I say is like hitting these numbers are actually really, really simple if you have sustainability and longevity built into your system. The problem is 99.9% of projects do not. If you don't have a reason to hold your project, people are going to sell your project and go to the projects that there is a reason to hold. It's as simple as that. It's basic supply and demand. If there is no demand for your project, the price is going to go down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this leads me to my next question. This is something that I don't know if it's a rumor or if there's some truth behind it. I saw it on X somewhere. I can't even remember. I was looking for the tweet. But I don't know what your position is on the PDI narrative. But somebody out there made a post about if PDI did reach its mission, let's say the pegging is true, becomes true. And I know you guys have a parity with PDI in your LP for UFO. What does that do for your system? Because somebody said it would completely change things on like a crazy parabolic move if that plays out. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, if we've positioned ourselves in this ecosystem, this is why PDI was added to our farms from the start, is we've positioned ourselves on if the PDI narrative is true, our system becomes a monster of a machine. So currently right now, if you go into like the PDI pair itself, we have like 200 or $2 million of LP. PDI is like even more than 100X away from parity. You could probably see it just on Dex Screener if you just type in UFO and go to the PDI pair.
Let me pull that up really quick.
It's probably the second one or something. Go up.
So I see this one here, die right here, right?
Yeah, that one.
There we go.
And then you can look at how much DAI is even in that pool currently.
Wow. Yeah, there's 187 million PDI, $1.5 million value. Yeah, wow. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that are providing LP.
Yeah, the community really stepped up for this system. It makes sense though, right? Like this is the first farm that's actually been based around supporting the price of a singular token. Most farms like have a token attached to it, but that's like an inflationary token that's meant to be sold and go down, to where this farm was built around actually increasing a price of a deflationary token, UFO. So it's a unique system in its own, and the community obviously stepping up and providing tons of LP for the system. One, because it's increasing the price of the UFO token they hold. So they're actually increasing the value of their own tokens while increasing their own wallet because it's printing them PLS at the same time. And most of them are pTGC holders also. So then this is also increasing the buy and burn of pTGC multiplied by like 3. People don't realize this, but UFOs burning or buying and burning like 3 times the amount of pTGC than pTGC itself. But back
Let me
to
pull
what
that
you're getting.
up too. I'm gonna pull that up for you. We'll cover that too. Let me go on. I'm sorry. I'm pulling up the what is the name
Stats.
of this? Yeah, it's liveburns.versal.app. I
Yeah,
can put it in the chat for people to take a look at too. But I have it up for you.
yeah. Let me finish the rant on PDI real
Go.
quick. So
Do your thing, brother.
Yeah, if PDI it gets stabilized at $1, if the RH tickers don't move up that 100x or whatever it is from here, let's say they only go up a 50x at that point or whatever, we'll get the mean of everything in between. Everything will rebalance itself. But let's say even at that point, we still have 100 million PDI in that pool. That would mean that we would have a $200 million LP pool with PDI stabilized at $1. So in that instance, that would cause a shock wave throughout our whole system. And obviously, we'd make tons of volume and tons of value off of that system. Pulsechain would be super successful. We would have like $500 million in LP probably at that point. We would be one of the only systems in the whole entire crypto industry that actually earns value off of all that LP. That's what's super unique about the system. And let's say if this happens, well, when in the market would that happen? Probably near the top of the bull market, right? We'd be up hundreds and hundreds of X's. Well, now we would have a $200 million LP pool with a stable coin at the top of the bull market that wouldn't hedge itself or wouldn't go down with the rest of the market, hedging us against the downtrend of the whole entire bear market. And as the bear market goes, it would constantly have to trade into that PDI pool, giving us tons of free volume and arbitrage opportunity, sending our system just into overdrive. So that's how I look at it. It's like if the PDI narrative is true, pTGC and UFO become just absolutely just monsters on Pulsechain.
Can I ask you, if you don't mind, on like percentage wise on your belief that could be a possibility? Like if you were to say 50-50, what would you say? PDI narrative.
If it isn't part of RH's plan, I hope he makes it part of his plan.
Yeah.
Because it seems possible for him. I don't think, like a lot of people I think are thinking it's going to happen soon. Personally, if he was to collateralize PDI, I think he should do it after Pulsechain is worth a little bit more. It would naturally let some people sell off. And like, I don't think he should give everyone 100x overnight. Like, I think it should get stabilized towards the end of the bull market once it naturally kind of got there. Because a lot of people, like, it's really easy for PDI to actually hit $1 due to the X multiplier. That's only a 10x on PDI and a 10x on Pulsechain, 100x right there. So naturally, we can get there very, very easily. And when we get there naturally, RH would have the funds to collateralize it. And that's what I mean is like, I think naturally we should get there as a community. When we get there, if he has an idea in play to collateralize it, he can very easily. If that's not part of his plan, I think it would be awesome if he made it part of his plan.
Right.
It's obviously turned out to be a huge narrative on this blockchain, and it's fun. It would be unique to our chain. I think it would onboard tons of people. The guys who actually research this stuff, I'm not a researcher of it. I just like gather the information from them. They look certain on the idea. Like they seem certain about this thing. So I put a little bit of belief in there, and like obviously this farm having PDI in it, I think shows my support and belief in that idea. Currently, we have the second biggest LP pool with PDI behind Atropa.
Yeah.
So we're the
that's
second
huge.
biggest LP provider of PDI in general. So every time PDI sells off or buys up, we help stabilize that price. Our system does. So that's kind of my contribution to that goal. And obviously, if that idea is real or relative, our system would obviously financially capitalize on that due to our mechanical model.
Thank you for giving me your thoughts on that, because I talk about this thing with people just like in chat, never interviewed anybody. And I plan on reaching out to some of the guys that are out there that are doing the research and the work and posting it on X. And there's a guy who's made some YouTube videos about, how the collateralize, how they would, or how basically RH would peg it and keep it at peg with providing collateral. So I want to get them on stream eventually. But let's hop over to some of these analytics, because we got a lot going on here at liveburns.vercel.app. I know you sent this to me earlier. You want to walk me through what's going on here, because this is my first time looking at it.
Yeah, so real quick, Crypto Kong is one of our community members, and he built this whole entire app. So shout out to him, just someone building awesome stuff for pTGC and UFO. If you're not following him, you should follow him.
I will.
Yeah, super cool guy. But going to it, if the first section is the pTGC burns, there's a little chart showing what it's burning in the last 24 hours. And then you can kind of go down. I think it's like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 6 hours, 12 hours, and a day. You can see how much is burning in all those time periods. And that's all just happening automatically through the functions within the smart contract. So with pTGC, with every single transaction that happens, there's a buy and burn, buy and burn, buy and burn. So it's pretty much a constant investor investing in the system that will never sell ever. And it's currently at, I believe, 12% of the supply, and that increases with every single transaction. That's just showing what it's done in the last 24 hours. I can't see because it's a little small for me, but in the last 24. Oh yeah, so we're at over $7,000 of pTGC bought and burn in the last 24 hours.
Wow. So, and just so people understand, this is completely, like you said, automated. This is a hands-free buy and burn environment. You could go on vacation for several months. You can completely be inactive in crypto, and this is all just happening on its own on autopilot.
Yeah, and the majority of that's coming from the LP web mechanic. So as Pulsechain becomes more successful, for an example, if it 10x's, our LP web 10x's, and then that makes the LP mechanic 10x. So that number should, with the success of Pulsechain, should be increasing dramatically as time goes on. So like that 7K a day can easily turn into 70K a day, right? With the 10x on Pulsechain.
This is how I like the buy and burn mechanics, because I'm sure you're aware out there, all over this space, there's buy and burns on several different protocols, whether it's this chain, that chain. But I think the problem I start to have with them is how they operate, the admin keys, needing somebody to be behind the hamster wheel, pushing the buttons and making that deciding factor. So this has been working like clockwork, and it's been growing over time since the beginning, right? Till now, these numbers have probably increased. And like you said, at a 10x, it'll be much larger. Why do you think most projects wouldn't use this type of approach? I don't get it. I think everything should be completely trustless and immutable and, operate on its own. I just don't get that, but I appreciate that you did.
Yeah. Well, I think most can't do it. Like, obviously we do a fee on transaction, right? So a lot of people in recent times have stayed away from fee on transaction tokens because in the past they didn't do super well, and they kind of got a little bit of a negative rep because in the past they were kind of like a musical chairs game. Like all's was good until music stopped, and then it just became like a self-fest of who could get the money out, right? This is most
Yeah.
tokens in general. They're all just musical chairs events. When the music stops, everyone runs and tries to get what they can out of the system. What's nice about our system is with the web, we found a way to keep the music running always. There will always be a buyer and a seller, no matter what happens, because we're utilizing the market makers on the blockchain. And the only thing that's guaranteed in crypto is the price going up or down. We can't guarantee it's going to go up. We can't guarantee it's going to go down. But our unique utility capitalizes even when the markets go down, money has to move. When markets go up, money has to move. These move prices we're connected to, which then activates our utility. And when that utility activates, we get to gain value from that system. And you actually gain quite a bit of value from that system. For an example, if a market maker moves $1,000, he has to move it in and then out. So he has to pay that 5% or 6% fee twice. So on $1,000 move, he's paying $100 to the system. And that's real value earned. That value isn't coming from a user coming in who's expecting that value to come back out. This is actual value earned, just like a real system in the outside world. When you actually gain real value, like people don't realize this, pTGC has paid out more money, in my opinion, to the Pulsechain holders than any other project on Pulsechain.
Mm-hmm.
People have literally made thousands and thousands of dollars and cashed it out on the system, but our chart is still up and to the right. It's because we have a real value gaining system. It's not a game of this person gets in and then I take this person's money out, or who can take whose money. It's actually generating real value where it doesn't need a person to come in. The system generates value just like a real system in the outside world.
I can give you a testimonial to that for pTGC. Like I said, I got in day one. So the passive income, allows you to keep the position that you originally had. You can compound, sell your rewards, and that's why I'm looking at UFOs. How early on it is like the same opportunity that came with pTGC, and even with pTGC, some people would ask, "Is it too late? Is it too late?" And like I always say, I'm not a financial advisor, but I tell people in my chat, like, no, because it's doing these numbers, and we're not even at SAC prices yet. We're a little ways from there. But when we do get there, peak bull market, things can shift. Also, I want to give you credit to a lot of people you see on Twitter. They say like no dev fees, no greedy this and that, nothing for this and that. Everything, because I know developers want to get paid. That's always the selling pitch on a developer fee, whatever it is, whether they have fees, Genesis wallets, whatever it may be. You guys decided to go a different route. I mean, you guys, it's just all performance based. If your stuff's good, you're going to make money with us. That's the approach I see that you guys took.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't probably realize this, but I still work my job. Like I'm at work right now. I have a business in the outside world. I don't depend on crypto to live my life. I have a business to do that. I use crypto as an investment tool more, not a form of cash flow income. I use my job for that. But a lot of, the problem with, I think, a lot of people or projects is they come to this space to make money, and that's all that they care about. Mm-hmm. And I came to this space to make a difference. And by making a difference, I think that will financially reward me a lot more in the future than it will in the short term now. And I think that's a huge thing that a lot of people don't really understand, is it's the ultimate form of delayed gratification. Mm-hmm. And it's a form of like how the Vikings did it. And this is what I always say is how I operated this system is I went to shore and I burned my boats behind me. There was nowhere for me to go besides forwards. I have to have these projects to succeed. I can't go back. I have to have these projects to succeed, and I'll work for these projects to succeed, and I believe in these projects.
That's a powerful message, because if you're looking out there across the entire space, No one burned their boats. They got, based off the money they made, they got yachts waiting for them to sail off with that money, regardless of what happens with the future of the projects. And I
Yeah,
like that it's proof. The proof is there because of the way you've gone about it. And in addition to that, it's you're operating at a level where it proves that, right? There is zero admin keys. It's immutable smart contract, trustless yield. And Richard Hart has been jamming this down our throats for years for a reason, just like he was saying, not your keys, not your crypto, called for the FTX collapse, the collapse of all these other entities that were big organizations in crypto. And he told you why. And he's been telling us why things should operate this way. So I like that statement that you just said impacts me with, I believe it because of the way you've built it. So moving forward for you and doing interviews like this, building and how you build is a true testament to what you're saying. It's not just if I felt like that was BS, I would tell you right now, like, yeah, okay, I see you making this money on the back end with this and that, but it's not there to say that to you. So kudos to you for that. What are we looking at here on screen though, as we're here on screen here from Crypto Kong's page? We went below the pTG stats where we see the burns. What are we looking at now here? Because I see some big stats like 12.9 million in LUSD liquidity or USD liquidity. What is this?
Yeah, so that's the total amount of liquidity with pTGC.
Mm-hmm.
That's both sides of the pair. So half of that is obviously the pTGC side. The other half is the assets we're connected to, the majority of them being RH tickers. So that's obviously one of our big goals, to keep bolstering up that liquidity, because that liquidity is what is the real value backing the system, for one. And then it's also our main mechanic as well, is that liquidity is what's generating that yield and those buy and burns for us. What else is there? Yeah.
Okay. And I see like there's PGC volume allocation. So there's a DAO. You guys run a DAO. Looks like 2% allocated to DAO. Okay. So I see some of the PGC holder reflections. Is that a daily? I'm not sure.
Those reflections land in your wallet with every transaction.
Okay.
So, but yes, that all those numbers are based on the last 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. That makes sense. Now we have UFO. Okay, so UFO's got a stat page here already. So we're looking at what we just looked at, but in regards to UFO, the burn tracker.
Correct. Yeah, and then that's got the same system that shows the amount that's been bought and burnt to date. I don't know if we looked at that with pTGC.
Yeah. 15-minute, 1 hour, 6 hour, 12 hour, 24 hour.
Well, I mean, go up right there. Do you see that dollar value right there?
Yikes! Yeah. $2,586,238.
Yeah, so that's the current amount of UFO that's been bought and burned. I don't think we looked at pTGCs. I think it's like 11 million or something like that.
I'll scroll back up. Let me see. Yeah, 11,825,843 pTGC value.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot, bro.
That's we're at 100 million market cap now, and we've burnt 12% or 11% or whatever. So mathematically, that's obviously how that works out. It's a huge amount of the supply off the market that will never be sold again. And like we said, that's actually bought. That's not like a lot of people will just mint the supply and then send it to the debt address, to where that supply was technically just never in existence. But due to how we're doing it, is we're actually buying it out of the market. So we're injecting the PLS into our liquidity pools and then removing the tokens from supply, which is really, really powerful.
So pTGC looks like it's on track, especially when things pick up, bull market, price of Pulse going up to be, 50, 70, 100 million in there, and UFO right behind it, to the 10 million, 20 million over time, with volume and everything. I'm seeing this question in chat a lot. People are referencing this Alien and Enki token. Is that right? Is that affiliated with you? I just wanted to question because somebody they keep bringing it up, so I'm assuming it's in reference to your ecosystem. Is it?
It's not a project that I've built, but a community member has built a support token to this ecosystem that also buys and burns pTGC as well.
Okay. Have you endorsed them as far as those, or you're just like kind of
I don't
watching?
endorse anything besides my products.
Okay. I just want to make that clear because I wasn't sure, but you're probably watching it closely, I would imagine, and see where
I
it's
know who
going.
the community member is. He's been a great community member the whole time.
Mhm.
I like that he's building stuff on top of pTGC and stuff like that. That's awesome. But again, the only things I do endorse personally are the products that I've
Mhm.
built or had my hands in building ultimately.
Mhm. Okay. Hey, that's fair. I was just I've seen a lot of it, so I'm like, what is this? What is this? So it looks like people are probably, if I were to guess, investing in those as if they're built on your system, they're probably looked at as leverages or X multipliers, maybe. Not too sure. So
Yeah, you probably don't want me to go into that. So
yeah, no, we'll leave it. We'll keep it strictly UFO, just out of
yeah.
respect for you, because that's your project, and you know, we're here to talk about that. Yeah, I mean, in my as far as everything that we're covered so far, is there anything we haven't looked at that you want me to jump into? Any other sites or any other aspects
You could
of
scroll down
UFO?
just real quick to the last section of this page
Mhm.
to where it shows the breakdown of UFOs rewards. You can see that the LP providers have earned just over $12,000 today in PLS. So if you're one of the LP providers in the farm, you receive your portion of that based on the percentage of the UFO shares you hold. So with our farm, it's actually unique in this way too. It doesn't matter which LP pair you're actually farming in. What matters is your UFO shares. So if one specific um, LP pair has more volume than the other, you still, it's not like you don't get to capitalize on that by being in the wrong LP pair. You're you're put into a pot with everyone else who's providing LP. The reason we did it like this is we didn't want people to pick specific pairs based on them being more profitable than other pairs. We wanted users to just go into whatever pair fit best for them. And that could be due to them having extra ink laying around and they wanted to pair with ink, or extra e-hex laying around, they want to pair with e-hex, or they don't care about impermanent loss with this token or that token. So it was just whatever one fits best for the user. You're still getting your portion of the the PLS rewards based on the amount of UFO you put into the pool at that time. And what this does in turn is it creates a pretty spread out web, which that's what we want, because the more spread out our web is, it makes our system actuate as it has been, to where if one pair was way overfilled and the other ones were small, there, if those small ones became successful and they needed to move money, there wouldn't be that much money to move out of it because everyone was obviously heavier in a different token or a different
Gotcha.
LP pair. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And I put the link to that page in the comments. I'll put it later in the description of the live stream. Because we covered a lot. You know, we're coming up to the hour mark, just so that people that are new, you know, and they want to get into UFO or pTGC, always like to just, you know, give them all the information. Now you're looking at somebody that's maybe watching the stream and you converted them, and they're like, "What do I do? How do I get in?" There's going to be some things that they need to know based off the tokenomics, right? So it's a reflection token, so you have the 6% buy fee, so 6% sell fee. So that means when you're on Pulsecheck, they're going to need to set the slippage to about 7% to buy either pTGC or UFO, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And Luckily, more recently, the auto router got so much better because they made a couple updates. So you can actually use the auto router now. So all you have to do is just change the slippage to 7, and you can buy pTGC or UFO. As simple as that.
Okay. And then there people are going to be like, okay, well, I have to pay that. How is this distributed? Well, there's different ways. You can hold it liquid and you benefit from the distribution of these fees, or you can provide liquidity. So for those users that are wondering how this is distributed, you want to just tell them, what you get from the benefit of holding UFO on this distribution with the fees versus LP.
Yeah. So everyone's different. Some people are big on holding and some people are really big on LP providing. The thing with LP providing is you will incur impermanent loss, especially if you have short-term mindset, right? If you have a short-term mindset, I don't really think LP providing is good for you in general, not even in just this system, because you possibly could get exited out of a position that you're looking to hold, but maybe you are looking to exit out of the position slowly. So you really have to kind of understand what you're doing. The reason why I think the APY for just holding is so important is I think most people do just hold. And you do want to incentivize people to just hold, because if you don't incentivize them to hold, the only other way they can take profits is by selling their initial purchases. And what's really unique about both pTGC and UFO is a user can actually never sell their initial purchases, so they can constantly sell their PLS, or not their PLS, their pTGC or UFO that they get dripped into their wallet every single day, and never touch their initial supply. And their percentage of their rewards will actually increase every single day due to the deflationary nature of the protocol. So since the project is a set supply and it's deflating every single day, as long as you hold your initial supply, your percentage of those rewards is actually going to increase every single day because your supply isn't decreasing unless you sell it.
Perfect. So, I mean, that's your two options right there. But you heard it from the man himself. If you have a short-term mindset, LP might not be the way for you. So holding liquid. It's a decision that's pretty easy if you know yourself, right? So
Yeah, or split it up. There's tons of different ways to skin the cat. We just kind of wanted to make it to where either way was a win if you decide to go either direction, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, the way I look at LP is like somebody that wants the exit. Like you said, you slowly are going to exit that way with the impermanent loss if your tokens are outperforming Pulsechain, and you're going to end up with more pulse, but you would probably ultimately be selling for that pulse anyways. Earn fees on top of that. Because with the LP, you get the pulse, but when you pull it, you're going to get the fees on top of that once you exit the door too, right?
Yeah, you get those. That's cool. Yeah, that's the nice thing about being built on top of PulseX is you're also earning all the standard liquidity provider fees that you would normally get as a liquidity provider. Also, you get your PLS farming rewards on top of that.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful thing. So those are things to consider. If you don't know about impermanent loss, there's tutorials out there, there's videos, there's Google, there's AI. You can ask ChatGPT anything, to learn more about that.
If you don't know what impermanent loss is, I highly suggest you shouldn't be providing LP yet.
Yeah, you got to be okay with it. At the end of the day, I look at it this way. Like in this scenario, I don't mind ending up with one or the other because if UFO takes off, I would be likely at where I think is the top, exiting to Pulsechain anyways, which you'd end up with more pulse. So, that's how I look at it. But then I'm earning fees, and I'm just taking my fees and buying some PTI while it's still below these low prices. So that were my pulse that I earned. So yeah, this is a really exciting project because I look across the board, things out there and how things are delivered. You got fair launch and these different aspects where they're earning people's trust. And I look at this, I go, this is not only fairly it fairly launched, but there's also like a fair way of designing it and building it, like from somebody who built something from a point of view where it's like, this is how I'm going to build a system. I'm not going to juice you for, your pulse chain and with, these fees. Everything's going to go to the investors and everything's going to be automated through these reflections. And I have my regular job where I depend on, and I burn my ships along with the keys, right? Along with the admin keys. And we're going to head in the same direction by this being a success. So I appreciate you for what you've built. And I'm sure everybody else on Pulsechain does too, because you guys are looking good on the chart. And like Richard Hart says, those green candles, those God candles will bring eyes and attention to UFO and pTGC. And right now, you guys are trending heavy all over X right now. So everyone is putting in the work across X, your community. The sky's the limit, right? It's exciting times.
Yeah, I still look at it as it's trending, and obviously it's starting to get more attention, but the real main piece of the formula is Pulsechain going up in value, because that will increase the mechanic of the whole system. So if people are excited about it as of now, they're going to be mind blown of what this thing could do once it actually gets turned on, because it isn't even on yet technically. And that's what's so beautiful about it, is like, if it can operate like this in an unfavorable environment, like this is a volume and volatility based protocol, but Pulsechain is still, below SAC rate. So what happens when the volume and volatility and the price appreciation of Pulsechain comes to our system, when the environment actually becomes favorable?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really interesting to watch.
The whole part of like the narrative with the alien technology and UFOs, it's like perfect timing, because now you got the U.S. government like all over YouTube and X talking about alien technology and how they're real and they're sharing about the public. So it's like a big buzzword right now on the internet. And then you have happen to have the names like UFO, pTGC, and all that alien, tech talk and alien this and that. It's pretty. It's like the stars aligned, because people are going to be like UFO, like. You know how people are with meme tokens, especially when you're onboarding, a new user and they're all going to Solana for meme tokens or ETH. Now you got, UFO. I think that was kind of cool with the perfect timing. And that's what I was explaining to some people the other day. I'm like, they got the alien narrative. So I'm sure.
Yeah, so I've been working on this project for like 3-4 years now. I was so surprised there hasn't been a huge capitalization on the alien theme narrative. Like, it fits, like, obviously there's other projects that have used it, but like no one has heavily succeeded with a token with this theme yet. And it's, in my opinion, like the best theme for this industry. Like, everyone's always talking about going to the moon. It's obviously, the tech behind it is kind of like alien techy. It's a fun theme. Everyone's thought about aliens. And then right now in the mainstream media, like just general commercials, news, like you'll even go on Netflix and half the shows are about aliens and stuff like that. UFOs and aliens are everywhere. Like, my goal is to make this, like, the alien theme, like a meta, right? Like, how crazy like the dog theme meta is. Like, personally, I believe here on Pulsechain, we could be starting a new meta of alien themed projects and be the
stars aligned,
leaders
bro.
of it. Yeah.
It's funny how that works, because I picture it being one of those things where Pulsechain starts taking off, right? And you got all these people that have been like Solana, and they're looking at Pulsechain. They're going, well, let's go over there. They see your UFO and all this alien themed stuff. They're going to gravitate to that naturally, and then start to understand the alien technology. This is like the calm before the storm, and things are already brewing up for most of us that have been in this ecosystem and seeing it play out. But the alien themed stuff, I think you're spot on, right? I think it could be the new meta, and easily, and things are surfacing about that all over the internet. So it's super trendy, no doubt about that. And I mean, other than that, I think we covered pretty much everything about UFO. Did we? Oh, we lost him again. We're about to wrap things up, but when he comes back, we'll give him a farewell. Maybe he'll want to stick around for questions because I haven't really been in the chat. Let me bring him on board. We'll ask him. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, someone called me again for some reason.
No worries. Well, I know we've been here for like an hour. We didn't really answer many questions in chat. I don't know what your time is, but I don't see too many questions coming in unless you have time to stick around for that. It is Friday.
Yeah, if there's some questions, I'd say just let's run through them real quick, and then if anyone else has some questions while we're running through them, we'll answer those real quick and then call it a day.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I got a little bit of time. The kids get off early on Fridays, and I was just telling my wife this morning, I was like, I don't know how we're gonna make it. They got 10 days off. And my house is loud, brother. Like, man, I'm gonna be live streaming next week, and I'm gonna need to probably move to the park or something. I don't know what I'm gonna do because these kids are just they run wild. So I'm looking through the comments to see if there was any questions while we were speaking about everything, going over basically all of the great tech that you've put together. I'll tell you what, I've been in DeFi for a long time. This is some very what people would call it's not so much it's groundbreaking, but it's like common sense, man. Like the way you should structure your protocols. I absolutely love it. Look to see. Anybody got any questions? You got the man here ready to go. I don't know if you can see questions here in StreamYard yourself, but I'm looking if you point one out because I think we already.
Yeah, I can't see any.
Yeah. No, I don't see many. I think we covered pretty much everything that people were commenting on. You're getting a lot of people that are just, loving to see what, is really unfolding right before their eyes. If I were to say anything to anybody, okay. Is UFO a leverage play on pTGC? Have you thought of building any more on top of these? Thanks.
Right now, I've been spending most of my time just trying to educate people on both these protocols. I feel like there's a lot of information to take in. So just educating people on what these are is a huge task at hand. At this point, both these protocols are like fully complete and decentralized. So I look at myself as just like a passionate community member, just trying to educate others on this system. I don't have any current ideas of building anything else. If I was to build anything else, it would have to be in the same tier as tech-wise as both pTGC and UFO. And I feel like both those are really, really hard to beat at this point. So if I was to come up with something else, it would have to be like up in that level, right? Like I don't want to just put out products for the hell of it. I want to like put out products that are like, in my opinion, like legitimate, like top tier DeFi protocols that are meant to make waves on this in this crypto space. Leverage play on pTGC. Again, the leverage play idea is an interesting one because people love to use that word to like trick people into their tokens. If there isn't sustainability behind your project, there's no such thing. 99.9% of projects go to zero. They'll all say this is a leverage play on this is a leverage play on that. None of that matters if your project doesn't have sustainability. What I find very, very unique about UFO is we saw the mechanic of the LP web working so well that we amplified it. So currently with RH tickers, UFO has like twice as much LP with RH tickers than pTGC, but it's a third of the market cap. So I wouldn't say that means it's a leverage play. I just think that a lot of people are looking past what the real value mechanic of both these protocols are. And if you really believe in that value gaining mechanic and you notice that UFO has a lot of LP and it's a smaller market cap, it kind of starts opening up your mind of how strong UFO is. But then the trick to that question is, with every single transaction of UFO, it also buys and burns pTGC, making it an entirely better system. So it just constantly feeds back into itself. And, it's just very interesting. Like we said, I don't know of anyone who's ever created a system like this. And it's been working very, very well. And as Pulsechain becomes more successful, it will, in my opinion, keep working even better over time. And not only that, it's buying up tons of RH tickers and putting them into LP that will never be sold by our protocol again. So it's also supporting the thing that is supporting us at the same time, which I think is very, very important, because I look at pTGC and UFO kind of that yin and yang also is, people are supporting UFO by adding LP and holding up the price, but then UFO supports it back because it's giving them price appreciation and APY. So then people are confident to hold the price up even longer, which then makes the LP get bigger, which then makes the machine run faster and harder, which then appreciates the price more. And it's like this snowball effect that's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Great question, by the way. I know this question here, like, if I restructure it for you, because he's asking the possibility of both pTGC and UFO getting to a penny. I guess the way you can answer it is, what price would Pulsechain need to hit for you to get there, since you are an X multiplier? I was trying to do the math in my head. I was like, I'm done. Because I saw a moon math calculator on Kong's site. I don't know if that's what somebody could use for that.
If you want to hop over to that real quick, we can just do a little game and see where it lands us at.
So I'm going to click on let me set it to a full screen so the audience can see. So we're looking at what they call the moon math calculator. I've never used it. So what do I do from here?
So on the quick links on the left, you can hit pTGC PLS. We'll start there.
Okay.
And now the X factor. So this is pretty much just that idea that reflexivity, the X multiplier.
I think I lost you there. If you can hear me, if you're still talking and you can hear me, I lost you. We'll wait for him to come back. The juicy part. We're about to do some moon math calculations here on the site, which I put in the chat. If you guys are not aware how to get to this, it's here.
Yeah.
So you're back. So
yeah, sorry, I keep getting calls.
Worries.
Yeah, so this is the X multiplier, the reflexivity that RH has even tweeted about, that has been like flying under the radar as far as mechanics go in the whole crypto world. But it's with sustainability, you can capitalize on this completely. So for X multipliers, we can let's use 5. So that's us doing a 5X against Pulsechain.
So X factor 5?
Yeah.
Okay, 5. Okay.
And then let's say Pulsechain does a 20X. So type in 20X there.
What would that be for Pulsechain? If you know, I'm not looking. Let's see. 20X?
No, you can just type in 20X.
Oh, that's it? Just type in 20 right here?
20 and then an X.
Okay, 20 and an X, just like that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So for anyone listening, I don't know what your predictions of what Pulsechain can do. Some people predict more than a 20X. Some people predict under. Just for this example purpose, this is no guarantee of the future. This is just literally how LP pools work out math-wise if these two things happen. So if Pulsechain does a 20X and we do a 5X over Pulsechain, mechanically and mathematically, we've already done 5x so many times, it's insane. So I don't think that's an overestimation. I actually think it's an underestimation, but let's see what that calculates out to be.
So did it work? I pressed it.
Scroll
Looked like it
down.
worked. Okay.
And in yellow at the bottom, if you keep going, it should, hold on.
So that puts Pulse at 0.00138. And it says pTGC would outperform Pulse at a 5x.
Or no, maybe it didn't calculate. Scroll back up for me.
Okay. So the X factor I put at 5, right?
Yeah.
Pair token target price I put 20.
Maybe try that big capital X. I don't know.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah, and then calculate. Scroll down, see if that populated now.
Do I need to put the X?
Yeah, in the past I used the X, but you can try it without.
Okay. Yeah, maybe it's not. This is with the pTGC to Pulse. X factor 5.
Maybe.
Refresh.
Yeah, let's try just putting Pulse at like a 0.001, because that would be a less than a 20x.
Okay, so 0.001.
Let's see if that does it. No, for some reason it's not calculating. Let's try a different pair.
All right. Which one? UFO?
Yeah, let's try UFO PLS.
Okay. Should I still try the 20x here to see if it works?
Yeah. And you can turn the
X factor to 5 or?
Yeah, try 5 again.
All right. X factor 20x.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Let me try to go into there really quick and refresh that particular page. And then let me share it back with the screen and see if it'll work now. Never know. So starting from scratch, 5, X factor 5, 20x, all right, there, and then calculate. So it seems like there's like a red asterisk here. Enter the target price for the other token in the pair. Can you still hear me? I think I lost you. The moon math calculator. If you can hear me, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh yeah, I was trying to do it on my phone. Yeah, I think something's acting up with it. But real quick, just since I can do it in my head, 20x of PLS and a 5x of pTGC would equal 100x. So that would be a 100x from the current price of pTGC, which would put us at, hold on, I need to look up what the price of pTGC is real quick. So that would put us at 3 cents.
Wow. And Pulsechain would have to do how many X's for that?
A 20x. That would be a 20x of Pulsechain and then a 5x of us against Pulsechain.
Wow. So here's the thing, because we're so many X's below SAC price, and then where we can go from there, that doesn't sound like a crazy number at all. It's not so much moon math. It's math, right? But moon math numbers would be like, saying that we're going to 1,000x from now on Pulsechain. That seems very reasonable.
Yeah, the X multiplier is super underrated. And that's the power of building on something before it's S-curve, right? Like right now we're building on Pulsechain before Pulsechain moves up. So we're capitalizing on, building before the S-curve, or we're building here before people come to the city. If you look at any city, the businesses that were put there before the city started thriving are now thriving, right? You're kind of building the business. So I started talking about this idea in July is the funny part. And I was saying like, hey, it's pretty easy to do a 100x here of pTGC. We just need a 10x of Pulsechain and a 10x of pTGC in July. And hold on. If you measure up from when I started talking about that, we're up pretty much a 10x from that point. So my point of it is pTGC has already done this so many times. Since I even started bringing this up, we already have done a 10x over Pulsechain. So that's why I kind of feel like it is easily in the cards for us to do another 5x. I don't see a reason why we couldn't. We're still a very, very small cup. We just hit $100 million market cap. That is literally, by definition, I think people consider the 100 million market cap like is when you transfer out of microcap stage into just a standard token. So we're just passing that point. Like it's still tiny. And then if you look at UFO, that's a 30 million market cap. So that's still a microcap. So we have a lot of room to grow. The machine runs stronger as we keep going up. So when I started bringing this up, obviously we've already outperformed 10x. In the past, we've done this multiple times too. Last time Pulsechain went up 4x, we went up 10x against Pulsechain, equaling 40x. That's really what this whole protocol is built off of. Is a lot of people like to tell you stories or this or that. I've pretty much tried to build the whole protocol based off math and mechanics. Even the number one thing that is the most dependent thing that protocols need is users, right? Like even if you have a utility, you still need a user to use that utility. If you have the token, you need users to buy into the token to increase the price. If you look at any business in the outside world, they are all trying to get away from humans. Like they're looking to replace their workers with a robot in the drive-through or a machine building this product or AI writing code. They're all veering from the idea of needing humans and relying on mechanics and machines. If you just think of that simple idea and you look at this protocol relying on math and mechanics, even the fact that our utility doesn't even need a user to use it, it only requires the mechanic of the LPs to function forever. It makes it one of the most trustless systems I know of because you don't even need to trust in a new user coming in to make the price increase.
I think my audience too, seeing as we're, a lot of the things I've been speaking about in recent times as far as protocols and projects, and not to mention them or throw them under the bus, but you can see that distance here, and really you don't even need to call it distance. It's non-existent where you have to depend on not only human beings, but the founder to do something. Like, when you're sitting there waiting for this person to make a move that you think is going to be beneficial and everyone's fighting over these ideas and what they should do. This is something that's designed, like you said, off mathematical mechanics, LPs, and it's different. In the reality of it, there's nothing like it out there. So I think every builder out there is going to face this new standard. The bar has risen very high with your ecosystem, and it might not be what founders want, because I think a lot of them, like you said, the very beginning, and I love that you said this, I'm glad it's on camera, they approach building because they want to make money for themselves, right? And when you have that approach, that greed for money never stops. They keep building with that same idea and keep putting money back into their pocket. And they can build these very complex ecosystems, and they can keep stacking them and keep making money. And then it becomes a problem for the users that are so far deep in it when they realize it's too late. And I've done that a lot of times over the years. So it's true innovation, true innovation. This question here, Future Forward, he's a regular on my channel. He's asking, did we already talk about amplifiers like 808 and Burn? Trying to find out what they do.
Yeah, so I do want to give a little disclaimer to maybe
Mhm.
my words were put out of context a little bit. I don't
Okay.
mean what I said as disrespect to any other founder out there.
Yeah.
I
No, I hear you.
I completely believe a lot of the other founders out there do have really, really good intentions in mind, and I think they're doing really amazing things.
Mhm.
And I have the most respect for all these people out there. So I don't want like me talking about like how I approach things to at all put any negative energy towards other people building. I just, I look at it as just two different things. As I'm kind of doing my thing, they're kind of doing their thing, and I wish them the most respect. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And I do
Yes.
think there is pros to doing it other ways. Like there is more than one way to skin a cat, and people should realize that, right? Is
Yes.
this is the way that I've kind of went about it, and the way that they're possibly going about it might be a little bit different. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. I think that's important for me to say is I completely respect other ways of doing things, and there is multiple ways of doing things. So I just kind of wanted to make that clear. It's just
Mhm.
I'm kind of voicing how I go about reasons and how I have designed these things and why I'm passionate about it. But that doesn't
No,
have to
definitely.
align with everyone.
No, everyone does things different. I think for me personally, as a user in a lot of different protocols for years now, I could just appreciate it the most, and I think a lot of people do too. And like I said, not to throw other protocols under the bus because I participate in. If they can make me money, I participate in them, and I look at it as it is what it is, and that has to do with not just projects but blockchains. VC groups, pre-sales, ICOs for all these big blockchains and layer ones and layer twos out there. Um, for me, I don't see anything on this level, and I'm going based off what people out there are saying about you and how you skin the cat. Is it's like it shows like there's no greed, there's no fees, there's no you really build something based off the principles of RH because he tells us I got $30 million in watches. I've been retired for 10 years. I don't need the money. I'm doing it for the glory. And I think he made it clear that you're not in that position, but when you build something like that and you're approaching it like him where he doesn't need the money, you're saying you live off of your job, your business, and you build it for the people and for the community. This is the greatest thing to see when they thrive like this. So you're winning with us, and I appreciate what you put together. So back to this question though, with the 808 and burn, I forgot about those tokens. I've had them for a while. Um, I I just hold them liquid. I got into them when they first came out, so I don't know what you can tap into as far as that question here.
Yeah, so all the amplifiers were pretty much airdropped to stakers at the time of pTGC. So you might
Mhm.
even gotten an airdrop of them. And really what their design was to just create more legs for the arbitrage bots to trade in and out of. Well, creating systems that kind of amplify themselves, also amplifying pTGC a little bit at the same time, but they were majorly designed for a route for arbitrage bots, not necessarily for people to put large economic energy into. They all have like their own little twists to them that are fun to play with, but they they were never meant with the same intentions that pTGC and UFO like were meant for. For an example, like burn and liquid, they at that time they give you rewards of pulse, or they still give you rewards of pulse when we launched them. And I airdropped it to all the stakers, and I said, hey, we can actually generate pulse for free into our wallets. You got this or this burn and liquid for free. Now you just have to hold it, and pulse is going to drop into your wallets for the rest of the existence of Pulsechain. So you might never need to even worry about gas fees again for staking or voting on the DAO or doing that. So it was kind of like an experiment on its own. Like, hey, here's stuff for free. We actually don't even need to buy them. The R bots are just going to trade them, and then we get dripped pulse. They also have their own fun mechanics. So, I try to not talk too much about them because my main focus is bringing education to pTGC and UFO. But there is people who are speculating on these things because they have big burnt LPs with pTGC. They pay PLS. Burn itself has 25% of its supply bought and burnt, and it's super, super cheap comparative. But my main focuses are pTGC and UFO. pTGC and UFO are contracts that are really deep and in depth. They have a lot of funds backing them, not only by the protocol, but by the community in general. So, you just kind of got to pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Hey, bro, we get to on top of that, or aside to that, we get to share a moment together because I'll switch over to the page. Bitcoin just hit a new all-time high. It's dropping right now, but it almost wicked to 100K. And I've been wanting to catch Bitcoin hit 100K on stream. But as we did this stream, it goes down in history. Bitcoin's all-time high now. I'm above 99,000. We're sitting at $99,400. So epic moment for the
Let's hope it doesn't go down in history, because then that would probably mean it was the all-time high, right?
Oh no!
Yeah,
A new all-time high.
Yeah, new all-time
it looks
high.
like people are selling right now. Look at that; it's wicking down as we speak.
Yeah, people are front running that 100K.
Yeah, so we almost got there. I was like, I want to be on stream when it hits 100K, and I went on the other night thinking that, we were gonna hit it, and then it just started to wick down. People, like you said, are front running and selling. It's wicking pretty hard, but that's Bitcoin. It does that before, new all-time highs. It might even go back to 97,000. But I think just like myself, the one thing that I'm looking at and I'm waiting for, especially for Pulsechain, is when Ethereum has its big break and it starts to go parabolic. And I always look at the SAC funds are slowly shifting from the red to the green as far as the entry with the SAC funds. And I don't know how they're going to be used. You can only speculate. But if any of that money is used to juice up the system, you're one of those projects that's going to benefit a great deal. And that's aside from the PDI narrative, right? Apparently, PDI can happen without the SAC funds to providing collateral. Richard can do it. But if he does bring this Ethereum over, let's say when it hits all-time highs of 5,000 and he juices up the system, your people are going to be real happy. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, I'm beyond interested to see, if or what like in the next 6 months, I personally believe, and this is no guarantee, that RH is going to bring some tricks out of his sleeve and that are going to blow people's minds. Do I know what they are? No, I don't know what they are. I speculate on a few ideas and I try to adjust or create my protocols around what I believe those ideas will be. And even if those ideas aren't true, I try to design them to where they win either way, right? To where I'm right if I'm right and right if I'm wrong, but the protocols will still succeed. And the interesting thing about this, and I use the analogy as we're like all on a team together, is, even though RH probably has no idea I even exist, but I'm on his team, and I look at it like everyone on Pulsechain kind of looks at RH like he needs to win this game for us, right? We're all here. We need RH to score all these baskets. They're kind of always looking at him. And I don't really like that idea of doing things. I like looking at our community itself, or as pTGC, like we have plenty of baskets we can score on our own. We don't need him to win this game for us. We're all a team here. Like we can make our own baskets. We can score our own goals. And that's what I think pTGC and UFO are doing on its own, is like, hey, we're going to win with him or without him. Obviously, if he steps into the game and starts making baskets, it's going to make it that much easier for us to win in general because he's an all-star player. He's known for just winning. But I'm not going to just not shoot and wait for him, right? Because if you're playing a game, that's just not a way of doing it. And I look at things we're connected to, like the Atropa ecosystem, Teddy Bear, PDI, Hex. Like we're connected
Oh, we lost him during the epic speech. He must be getting a phone call. I'll bring him right back on when he hops on. But yeah, I'm glad he's taking that shot right now because he's right. We don't need Richard Hart. And you're back. Your epic
Sorry about
speech
that.
got
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
so
loving it. Go
we
on.
have
I'm
all
feeling
these.
this.
We have all these teammates. We have PHEX. We have Pulsex. We don't have to score every basket. Some days PHEX is going to be the winner, but we're still getting points and we're still on that team. So as long as the things we're connected to are scoring baskets, the chances of us winning this game go up and up and up because we're connected to all these things. And then I also look at like our teammates or our community, they're not only on just this team, they're on other blockchains. And, you know, at the end of the day, I want them to win wherever they are. Because if our community is mixed within other communities, if they're on whole other blockchains or in other sub communities, like if they're winning in those sub communities, that's great for all of us because we're all intertwined and we all want each other to win. Because as we all win, our chances of just winning in general just keep going up and up and up. And especially with the things our LPs are connected to. That's like majority. And if RH comes into this and starts pulling some major tricks up his sleeve, like I don't see a way this ecosystem doesn't win. I've ran pretty much every scenario through my head I could physically run because that's the kind of person I am. Is like I want to think of every possible outcome and then put in place a solution for that outcome as it comes to me in any direction this ecosystem goes. And yeah, I guess that's really it. Is a lot of people look at RH like he needs to shoot every basket and he needs to win the game for them, but as a community and as a team, a lot of these baskets can be shot by us.
I think he's because when you said he probably doesn't know who you are, I think he watches from a distance. He sees every token that's on Dex Screener, Dex Tools. He sees everything they're doing. He sees every narrative. And if he takes the time, which I believe he has, to take a look at your system, you've followed everything. You've went down the path of what would be the RH 10 commandments. There's nothing that I can see or even really critique that says you didn't stick to his principles. So, I highly doubt that he doesn't know about you. I'm sure he knows and is just like, hey, that's how it's done, bro. That's how you do it, right? He's not the guy that's going to come out and then, start endorsing projects at this point. We'll see after, things surpass from a legal standpoint and maybe he starts streaming again, maybe he doesn't, but you have done everything to a T to what has been built out by him from the beginning of Hex with Pulse X, everything he's ever touched is you've followed it to a T. So for that, I'm sure you get the man's respect from a distance. There's no doubt about that. I would speculate, but yeah, man, I thank you so much for being here. We're going on like the 2 hour mark. You're like that person that I can be on stream with all day. It's Friday. Kids will get out early soon. I would love to invite you back, down the road. If there's any other aspects to your platform that ecosystem we haven't touched, we can go into that. Anything new you bring to the table, you always get the invite. I think there's a special thing about builders like you. There's things that are going on here in this ecosystem that people are going to be really that they're excited about and they're going to really benefit down the road. So hopefully people got the message in this live stream. I'm going to get off camera and buy some more. That's what I'm going to do. And that's where I'm headed.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for, obviously inviting me on here and giving me a platform to speak. I also just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's listening in, who's throwing comments into the comments and, adding to the conversation. That means the world to me. Also, we've gained a lot of new holders recently. I want to just say thank you for believing in the system that I've put the last 4 years of my life dedicated to it. It means the world to me that people see the same value in the things I see. And then I want to say thank you as well to the people who have been holding the project for the last year, like you know, it means the world to me that you see the value to hold this long term and utilize the code as it was designed, because not everyone has to utilize the code as what it was intended to be for, as like a store of value that constantly increases while people are also earning APY. A lot of people have used it in other ways, you know, quick cash outs. They've made tons of money on it, and I'm happy that people have. But again, there's sometimes more to the story than just that. And yes, we do want people to make money and increase their, you know, change their life. But I do also think it's important to support the system that's supporting everyone else as well. So just wanted to say thanks for everyone and that's involved and here listening.
Hey man, it was a very good conversation, very good interview. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So again, thank everybody for joining. This is where you put in work, guys. You go on YouTube, you get the algorithm going, you like, you subscribe. But on Twitter, because we know Twitter's that algorithm versus YouTube is popping, go retweet the video, like it on Twitter. Go get all your pTGC tags going, UFO, tag your friends, tag your neighbor, tag your mailman, tag your mom, your dad, your grandma, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever it may be. Get people here and work for your bags, because the thing that's going to help the most is getting more people in the ecosystem, more people excited, more people in the Pulsechain. And together we work and we will succeed. So till next time, we'll do it again. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, dog.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including heat.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including got me on Avex and bought me some Joe. Farming go crazy, you know how it goes. Zoopy on Phantom, I got a few nodes. Sticking my Rex, you know I'm gon' hold. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buy my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Getting these calls from the dog pound. Buy my dot for the next round. Now I'm coming up off the compound. Got my drip off the rebound. Crypto talk with Thomas G.
Yeah, dog.
Bringing heat, mining sprees, and we're farming all around, including heat.